creating a calorie deficit and sustaining that deficit over time is one of the key principles for getting lean. And whichever method you use, whether it's keto, paleo, low carb, low fat, intuitive eating, or tracking your calories and macros, the method has to put you in a calorie deficit in order for you to maximize fat loss. And what I want to do in this video is share with you 8 signs that you've actually created that calorie deficit. And some of these signs I haven't seen other people talk about, and what I'd like you to do is to be able to recognize them so you can see whether you're on the right track or if you need to make changes to your approach. So without any further ado, let's dive into the first sign that you are in a calorie deficit, which is seeing changes in your body weight averages. In other words, if your average weight across several weeks hasn't gone down, then by definition, you have not created a calorie deficit. This is one of the most important signs. And the reason why I'm saying several weeks instead of a couple of days is because fat loss is not linear, and water retention can cause the scale weight to plateau. But if you take your daily weigh-ins and then you average the highs and lows over the course of 2 to 3 weeks, you'll be able to tell whether you've truly created that calorie deficit. And if you notice that after, let's say, 3 weeks, you've been in a plateau, well, then it's time to look at making some changes or look at your overall diet consistency. Now, the second sign you may notice is a shift in your hunger and taste. Your meals become less filling compared to before, and you're getting hungrier sooner. So while before it might have taken you 4 or 5 hours to feel some hunger, or maybe you've rarely ever felt hungry, now hunger became a daily occurrence and it's much more common. And while we do have strategies to reduce hunger, such as eating lower calorie density foods, drinking more water, eating your vegetables, eating higher protein, feeling some hunger while you're trying to get lean is completely normal. I personally choose to view this as a positive, so instead of thinking of hunger as an emergency, that it all sucks, that I'm starving, I remind myself that feeling hungry means that I'm losing body fat and that I'm getting leaner. Another thing that's related to this that you may notice is that food in general starts to taste a lot better. And there's a reason people say hunger is the best sauce. And this effect can be very helpful for changing your eating habits if you're moving from a more processed diet to a more healthier, unprocessed food diet, because those healthier foods will now start to taste a lot better. Now, moving into the third sign that you're in a calorie deficit, which you may experience, which is quite common, and that is lower sleep quality. Now, this doesn't happen to everyone, but based on my personal experience as well as with clients, I've seen that it can become a lot harder to fall asleep and to stay asleep. So it becomes really important to stay on top of your evening routines and your overall sleep hygiene. So things like creating a dark room, making sure that you're dimming the lights at night, making sure you're not using electronics right before bed, that you're not doing anything super stressful, that you can relax, all becomes critical, because before you might have been able to coast by and have a good night of sleep, but that's no longer an option. So you really have to dial these things in. And one specific thing that helps me sleep better at night is knowing that you've hit the like button on my videos. Now, moving on to the fourth sign that you're in a calorie deficit, which is seeing changes in your body composition. And the most common ones here are that your clothes fit differently, you look cleaner in the mirror, people are saying that you look like you've lost some weight, and recognizing these signs of progress is critical for your motivation and to help you keep going, especially when the scale weight fluctuates. This is one of the reasons why I recommend to take a weekly waist measurement, as well as regular progress photos from the front, from the back, and from the side, so you can recognize all the progress that you've been making. Because the more ways you have to see that progress, the more encouraged you will be to keep going and to stay consistent. Now, the fifth sign that you're in a calorie deficit that you may experience is a higher food focus. You may notice that you're thinking more about food, cravings get amplified, your relationship with food slowly changes over time, and now you're at a greater risk of making emotional food decisions. This is why it's so important to be able to check in with yourself before you eat, whether you're eating because of physical hunger or you're eating because you want to change your emotional state. And knowing the difference between physical hunger and emotional hunger can prevent a lot of overeating and help you stay consistent. Now, the sixth sign that you're in a calorie deficit, which can happen to you as well, is feeling colder. I personally don't experience this until I hit about 10% body fat, and if I want to get leaner, at that level, I can feel cold even when it's summer. But I do know a lot of people who had this experience even at higher body fat percentages while they were losing weight. Some report that they have colder hands and feet, others will say it's their whole body. So if you have this experience, just know that it's a part of the process of getting lean, so it's not something that's permanent, and that things will eventually get back to normal. Now, the seventh sign of a calorie deficit that some people experience are mood swings. People will often report that they are a lot less patient and more irritable while they're dieting. Now, some of this can be attributed to the fact that people cut calories way too low and they're trying to go at this aggressively. And if that's you, if you're trying to diet very quickly, well, reconsider your approach to move to something more sustainable. Now, aside from that, it can also be due to a change in diet composition. Maybe you used to eat a lot of junk food, processed food, and comfort food, which you used to regulate your mood. And now you've cut that out and you're moving to a more healthy diet with unprocessed whole foods, which takes some time getting used to. So if you are having those mood swings, first, it's not an excuse to treat other people poorly. Second, take it as a sign to focus on stress management, to relax more, to do meditation, to go out for walks, to spend some time in nature. And whatever you can do, try to reduce your overall stress levels, and this will help you with consistency. Now, the eighth sign that you're in a calorie deficit, which can happen to you as well, is a reduction in unconscious activity. A lot of people notice that they're fidgeting less, they're more sluggish, their bodies are trying to save energy. And this is very individual and can vary between people. And it's related to an element of the metabolism which is called NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And I know on my own body, when I'm looking to get very lean, my posture is worse, I'm leaning onto furniture when I'm talking to people, and I'm doing all of that unconsciously because my body is trying to save some energy. And this is why I'm a really big fan of walking. And my recommendation is to start at 7,000 to 10,000 steps per day. And with walking, you can consciously add more activity into your routine, which will combat this adaptation for NEAT, and so it will help you get leaner. And with these 8 steps overall, you really want to be paying attention to this and seeing them as positive reassurance that you're on the right track. At the end of the day, getting an exceptional result is not easy, and nobody said it will be, but it is definitely worth it. And will help you get there is hitting that subscribe button below and the notifications by hitting the bell icon. Details for coaching on the description below if you want to work with me. Also leaving another video here that you're going to enjoy a lot, so check out that video, and I'm going to see you right there.